now, I'm going to turn it over to Billy Upchurch, who's going to take us through a demo of how to use Smart PM to effectively look at some of these challenges that we're facing. And then also, we're going to highlight some of the specific features that we just rolled out on Monday. So Billy?
Hey guys, let me get my screen up there. John, does that look okay?
Looks good to me.
Yeah, thanks for joining everybody. It's nice to get everybody together and walk through some of this and get all of our thoughts together and hopefully help out. What I want to do here is just show you two things. The first one being we rolled out a new feature on Monday. I'm sure some of you have noticed with the ability to track two scenarios from the project creation window. And then the second thing I want to do is show you a couple of different analysis that you can do that are relevant to what's going on with the industry right now. How you can use Smart PM to understand delays and impacts to your project, both on a retrospective and a look forward basis. So just dive right in. I want to go ahead and get this going so we have enough time with our great panel today. When you go to the create new project window, we'll just do this as we normally would. So we'll select a Primavera file, for instance, and I will throw in the zip code, the local zip code here for Smart PM, and I'll click next. Just like normal, you'll go find that baseline schedule that you want to use for your project, and we'll click next. So this is where it'll start to look a little different. What Smart PM will do is it's going to process that baseline first. We can see it was uploaded, validated, boom, it was imported, ready to go. And this menu is where you can set up Smart PM to automatically create track to activity scenarios in the project. And you'll want to base that on any contractual milestones or activities that you're interested in from the beginning. So if I filter just for the word complete, I can see I've got a bunch of good milestones in here that I may be interested in. So when the Southwest building is going to be finished, when the Southeast building is going to be finished, maybe I need to know when the garage is going to be completed. And I can click finish. And what Smart PM is going to go do now, when I go open it up here, we can see that it's starting to create these track activity scenarios that we're interested in. So it's going to set you up to be able to get all the same analysis, delay analysis, recovery, compression, plan percent complete, actual percent complete, all the good stuff Smart PM does, but to the completion of certain milestones that you may want to track. Be them contractual milestones or just of interest, maybe revenue generating milestones, what have you. So if I refresh this again, it's probably going to start showing a little bit more. So now we can see it's continuing to work. It's starting the Southeast building now, and we can see that the Southwest building is set up. And so now the second part of it is that we have enabled Smart PM to be able to automatically update these scenarios with each schedule. Before, many of you will probably remember you had to go, in order to update a scenario, you'd have to click view details, you have to click update scenario, then you'd have to go through this process. But you'll notice here that we do have this automatically updated scenario checkbox clicked. And you have the ability to select that when you do a manual scenario. But for now, every single schedule that you import will now automatically update these scenarios. So it's a lot more seamless. There's no going back and forth. Just to demonstrate that real quick, what I can do is hit upload new schedule. I'll pick this next update. It's going to import it very quickly. Relatively quickly.
We're all working on home Wi-Fi, so I know when my family is all on their other devices that my Wi-Fi certainly slows down.
And then so once that schedule does import, it's going to say, hey, these were the activities that you were tracking to when you created the project. Just a reminder, we're going to update these. We're tracking to this activity. And if for whatever reason you want to omit that activity from being tracked against, you can deselect that checkbox. But that is now how you will update your scenarios with each new update. So great feature. I think it's going to be huge, especially for those customers who are tracking month to month. And trying to stay on top of their project and milestones. But so with all that being said, I think the star of the show is going to be the scenarios we're able to create to help track some COVID-19 projects. So I'm going to click into this already created project I have. And just to maybe get a lay of the land here, I'm going to open up the Gantt chart view and just kind of see what we've got going on in here. And as always, I like to go fit to screen. So what we notice when we're looking at this schedule is it looks like that we have some fragnets that have been introduced into the schedule. So, those activities that we drop into schedules to help track delays, help understand, where impacts may be occurring, even just for notification or notice. If I open this up a little bit further and look down into more of the meat of the schedule, we can see that there's a couple more fragnet activities here. So, based due to COVID-19, and this is a hypothetical, we had a factory shutdown. And we dropped that in for notice. It was shut down between January 6th and February 14th. But what you'll see here is that, due to it being dropped into the schedule here in March, and it was a January impact, it doesn't get picked up in the critical path analysis because it was dropped in on a future date. So we can create a revert rule to help understand what that impact would have looked like had it been dropped in ahead of time. Like if we knew this was happening, what would the impact have looked like? So I can go to our scenario conditions here, and I can click Create Rule, and I'm going to go to the Revert tool. And so since those activities were dropped in March, I'm going to go look at the March update, and I'm going to filter for my fragnet activities here, and I've got all my fragnet activities, all the changes that we're seeing. So we can see they were added here in March, all the logic that was added to them as well. And so what I want to do is say, all right, SmartPM, take those activities that were added and all the logic ties that were added with it, and put it in the December schedule. Let's see where the critical path would have been had these activities been contemplated or these impacts been contemplated when I was producing my December update. So the update right before all this happened. And let's see what happens with my critical path and my delay analysis. So I'll call this Revert Fragnet and click Finish. And so we have that condition created. Now that doesn't do anything, as you guys know. That just sets it up to be used. The next thing we can do is go to the scenarios, and we'll create a scenario, and we'll call this Revert Fragnet. And I'll go ahead and I'll set this to be automatically updated with each new update as well. I'll click Next, and we'll go ahead and select all of our schedules. We'll do the full schedule analysis, and then I'm going to enact that Revert Fragnet condition that I set up. So now what SmartPM is going to do is it's going to go rerun the analysis, but those fragment activities are going to be scheduled as if they were dropped in that December update instead of the March update. And that will allow SmartPM to utilize those activities in the delay analysis. And that will give us the ability to understand the full impact of that fragment and what that actually meant for us during that period and how much delay incurred because of it. While that's off running, what I'm going to do is do one more analysis here. We're all, depending on what municipality you guys are in, you may be impacted in different ways just from labor not showing up or, local governments may be forcing site shutdowns. So it's important to understand what that's going to look like for you going forward. What you can do in Smart PM is actually create calendars that reflect a site shutdown or even just slower than planned progress. So if I go to calendars, I can create a new calendar directly in Smart PM. And what I'll call this is, I'll just call this the COVID calendar. And, I may wonder, I'm hearing from the electrician that, the guys aren't showing up as much. They're having trouble. Maybe you have a union issue. And what you can do is come in here and actually select days for non-work. So I can just click on these days here. And all these days I'm selecting will be non-working days to simulate maybe a site shutdown or slower than planned progress. So if I know my electrician is telling me, hey, I'm down to 50% work crews, I can maybe go and do an exercise and say, all right, to simulate a 50% work crew, I'm going to make every other day a non-working day. So work 50% of the time. I know I'm going to at least experience this through April. So now I've got a COVID calendar here where I'm saying, all right, I'm going to plan for 50% productivity in between March and April. And I'm going to click submit. And I'll come back over to my scenarios tab here, and I'll just refresh to see what this is doing. So it's off calculating the delay. And I can create a scenario. I'm going to call this electrical 50%. And I'll click next. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, I skipped a whole step. I'm going to go to scenario conditions, and I'm going to create a rule. And I'm going to call this a bulk change. What I'm going to do is, starting with my latest schedule update, I'm going to click next. I'm going to go grab all of the activities that have an activity code where we have an electrical contractor, right? So what I'm doing is I'm saying, all right, Smart PM, go grab all my electrical activities. And then what I want you to do is I want you to apply the COVID calendar to those activities and click next. Smart PM will say, here are all the activities I found that have the electrical activity code. Here's their current calendar. Is there anything that you want to exclude? Maybe I don't want to exclude, I don't want to include the owner punch in there. Looks like maybe, and I'll take out the underground electrical. So I'm going to go do all my interior electrical. I'm going to put them on a every other day calendar. And click finish. And then what I can do is I can come back to my scenarios, and you can see the FragNet is finished. Maybe we'll take a look at that at the end if we have some time. I can create a scenario now and say electrical 50% productivity. And I'll have that automatically updated. I'll select all my schedules, full schedule. And I'm going to revert to FragNet with this thing, and I'm going to apply that electrical 50% calendar. And I'm going to click finish. So now what we'll be able to see is how, if my subcontractor is correct and he or she is noting that they're going to have only partial workforce, what does that mean for my schedule looking forward? What does that do to my critical path? How does that push out my end date? And where are other places I can save time, or where other places are going to be impacted? I can't close the drywaller can't close in the walls if the electrical is not rusted. So this will allow you to see into the future, so to speak, and understand what all of this is meaning for your project. I'll just click right into this revert FragNet schedule now. Coming up on the bottom of the hour, so I definitely want to give time for our great panel. Based on the discussions we were having yesterday with them, I think it's going to be very informative. So now if I filter for a complete critical path, I can see that FragNet, that factory shutdown, is now sitting directly on my critical path, as opposed to it not being critical in the original analysis. So by putting that FragNet in the December update, Smart PM can now calculate that actual impact that it had to the project. I can open this up down here in our delay table and see that actually had 18 days worth of impact to my job, as well as 9 days in the beginning just from the factory shutdown affecting it. So, 2 quick ways for you guys just to go start using the scenarios and those scenario conditions. Looks like this is still processing, but this will give you the ability in Smart PM, in a safe space, so to speak, in a vacuum, if you will, to understand the impacts of this and hopefully come to some resolutions to help mitigate any of these delays looking into the future, or fully understanding how previous impacts actually affected your schedule. So we're always more than happy to jump on calls with our customers and help them set these up. I know, with all of our trainings, there's a whole training session just for scenario and scenario conditions. It's probably the most powerful tool that Smart PM has. And we are here to help you guys use that. And hopefully you guys will reach out and we can help you set up any scenarios to help simulate situations you guys may be seeing on your job site. So, John, I'm going to kick it back over to you, and we'll get the panelists up, and hopefully we can have a great discussion here.
Sure. Thanks, Billy, for running through that. I know we kind of sped through that information pretty quickly there and clicked through things pretty quickly, but as Billy mentioned, we're here to help support you through this time. We believe that we've got some tools and some cool things that we can do with those conditions and setting up scenarios to analyze impacts and analyze delays. And so, we want to help you. We want to be here for you. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. This session will, like I said at the beginning, is being recorded, so we can send this out at the end, so you can kind of slow play the steps that Billy walked through, and follow along on your own project if you want. But certainly, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out.